Well, here we are. It is Friday, August 11th, 2023. The summer's about half over here. And this, is, of course, is the weekly video. We do these every Friday, talk about things that are coming up in the Asian art market, Chinese auction results, Japanese auction, antique auction results, what's happening in New York, and so forth. And we do it every Friday. We also talk about what's been going on eBay and other venues, live auctioneers. And earlier this week, we put up a video about this, the Grogan sale coming up in Boston of Chinese export porcelain. I thought it was an absolutely amazing collection. And one of the things, I'm going to clarify something first. I had said that most of the stuff is unreserved, and they're very limited estimates on things, usually under $500, even though this stuff is worth much, much more than that. There are two lots that have slightly higher estimates and higher. They may have a reserve on, I'm not sure, but they are two of the holy grails of Chinese export porcelain in the American market. And these are Order of Cincinnati porcelains. These were issued these were made actually after the formation of the Cincinnati Society, which was created following the Revolutionary War in 1883 as basically an association of former Revolutionary War officers and so forth, people who fought in the Revolution. And the idea of the Order of Cincinnati was to maintain the history of the Revolutionary War, the virtues of the war, what they were looking for, what they had hoped for, independence, democracy, and all that sort of thing. And they issued a crest. Here it is. And these were made onto Chinese export porcelains in very, very limited numbers. These are among the holiest of holy grails of the China trade world. And this collection has two lots from people that were in that collection. This one belonged to General Benjamin Lincoln, who made around 1790, served in the Revolutionary War with enormous distinction. And here is another one that belonged to the service of Samuel Shaw, another one of the most famous members of the Revolutionary War. And this is a little covered écu from his service. Its starting bid is $4,000, and the estimate is 8 to 12. I can tell you that it's going to bring, you could probably add zeros onto those numbers, I suspect, by the time you're done. It easily could happen, and the same for this. These are very, very rare lots. But one of the things I wanted to talk about, I had sent Michael an email after we posted the video the other day, just to let him know that we'd put it up, and he may hear from people, and I think that they have from a number of you, that you may be hearing from some of our users because they are avid collectors of Chinese porcelain, and many of you are very, very knowledgeable, of course, and have been at it for a long time. And I just let him know, and he called me and left me a message. I didn't get this call; I was out of the house, but and emailed me back. His daughter emailed me to say thank you, and they're very, very excited about the auction. They really are. And I wrote him back and I said, "Whose collection is it?" Because I don't recognize the pieces. I've sold a lot of stuff and who over the years to collectors around Massachusetts, and I couldn't recognize any of the pieces and try to link up in my mind who these belong to. And they wrote back and they said they belong to two guys that I knew very, very well. They were the Gagosian brothers, and they were frequent faces at auctions all around New England. They were very interesting guys, Armin and Varden. And Varden Gagosian was a very prominent oral surgeon. He built a massive practice of tooth bridges and that sort of thing in his practice. But they were huge benefactors to the Armenian community in the Boston area and in New York. The two gentlemen never married. They actually lived together for many, many years. They were extremely close. And Varden ran this very successful medical practice. His brother Armin worked there. And they collected friends the way they collected Chinese porcelain. But they were always very private about their porcelain collection. And I used to see them all the time. I used to run into them at Michael Grogan's auctions. I would run into them at Northeast auctions. I would run into them at my own auctions. They always came, and they were very memorable. And in the antique business, there are some people that that are around, and they always have something negative to say about somebody. The Gogosian brothers, nobody had a bad word to say about them. They were the most charming gentlemen. They had devoted their lives to doing good works. He opened free dental practices. He volunteered 1 month a year as a dentist to charity work every year. And he did it long before Doctors Without Borders was fashionable. He just went out and did it. And Armin encouraged him. And the two of them were inseparable. They were inseparable. If you saw Van, Armin wasn't far away. And if you saw Armin, you knew Van wasn't far away. They would always come over and say hello when they came to an auction. If they saw you across the room, they always made a point to come over and say hello. They were extremely interesting people. They had impeccable taste. And they were scholars about Chinese art. And the Chinese art, in their obituaries, it wasn't mentioned that they were huge fans of Chinese art. Both of the gentlemen sadly passed. Armin passed away in 2017, which I knew about, and it was a very sad thing. And I just found out that I just learned through this auction that Varden had died last year. They were not terribly old men. They were Varden was in his 70s, and Armin was only 67 or 8 when he passed away. But they led exemplary lives, I guess is the way to put it. They were always looking to do good for others. This was their whole thing, and they were devoted to the Armenian community in particular. They were very active at the Armenian church. They were very influential guys, but always on a low key with great humility. Very, very humble guys. And these are their pictures. Varden is on the left and Armin is on the right. And they were just great people. And they were rabid collectors, as you can see. And I'm not sure if this is the whole collection, because I know they bought a lot of things over the years. I was at the estate auction for Crosby Forbes a number of years ago, who had been the former curator of the Robert Bennett Forbes Museum in Milton, and later the curator of the China Trade section at the Peabody Essex Museum. And he wrote a famous book on Chinese silver, and among other things. And Crosby knew the brothers, of course. And when Crosby died, they came to the estate auction, and the estate auction was held over in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which was very close to where Varden's medical practice was. And it was a pouring, rainy, lousy day. It was one of those horrific days that auctioneers just dread: rain, cold, damp air, and all that. And it was awful. But the Varden brothers were there, and they came in, and they just couldn't have been warmer and friendlier. And everybody liked to see them there, and they all knew why they were there, because they were such avid collectors. Karina Corrigan, who was a curator at the Peabody Essex Museum, was there with her team of people. They had a number of things that they were being authorized to buy, and that sort of thing. And it was really an interesting day, but Varden and his brother Armin were just so much fun. Because they were going around appreciating things, enjoying things, cheering you on. I bought a pair of paintings that we talked about in a former video, and they saw me buy them. I outbid them on them, and I gave them to my wife as a present. But after the sale, they one time quietly came over to me at another auction and said, "If you ever want to sell those paintings, you let us know." And I told them that I'd given them to my wife for a present, and they were absolutely thrilled. And they said, "That's wonderful. Oh, that's great." And that's how they were. They were never non-supportive of people. And when the folks at Grogan's told me who the collection came from, I wasn't surprised. I said, of course, that makes total sense. And that's the story of this collection. So you can look them up online. There is an obituary. I found a very nice one on Varden Grogan here, and it goes through parts of his life. It doesn't begin to cover it. He's a Tufts graduate, a school of dentistry. He had a prosthodentist practice, and it goes through that. But he did much more, and he was forever impacted. Both men were forever impacted through their lives due to the Armenian genocide. And they spent a lot of their time trying to help people, descendants of that, and to keep the memory of that horrible situation with Turkey keep it up, to never let people forget about it. The same as the Holocaust in Germany. To the Armenians, this was their Holocaust. But these were the two men, and they were remarkable individuals. And again, you now have the backstory to go with the origins of this collection and its provenance. And I think that's pretty terrific. Okay, so that's the story. All right, now on to eBay auction results this week. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention was, and I noticed in the comments the other day, a number of you said, why don't you, because of what happened with the Bidamount Live thing and the cost of running it and so forth, we're going to keep the Bidamount.com site is fine. The Bidamount.com site isn't going anywhere, and we're going to keep doing videos. But a number of you mentioned, because we pay for all this, and it's kind of expensive, to be perfectly honest, and I don't mind doing it. I like doing it. But if some of you want to help out, and a few people said, why don't you open a Patreon account? So we've done that. We opened up an account with Patreon, and if you want to join, you can do that. It's like $4 or $5 a month, and I think I forget what we set it for. Even go over and check it out. And what we're going to do is each week, I don't sell baseball hats, and we don't do all that. Often people that do Patreon accounts do all that. But one of the things we can do is we can upload the weekly video to the Patreon account we've created, and you can watch the videos there advertisement free each week. Any video we put up, we're going to put them over on there as well. So each week, when you see the video come up, there will be a link in the newsletter email that you can go over. If you have a Patreon account, you can click that, and you can watch the video for the week without any interruptions with advertisements and all that, because I know they're a pain in the neck. All right, it's just something something we can do that I think maybe would be nice, and it would be good for the business. It would be good for us. It would allow us to buy, help us buy new cameras, and we were always replacing lighting and software and recording software and a whole bunch of other stuff that we need in order to do what we do, as well as the software and platform and things for the Bidamount site and the storage for the auction catalogs and the reference section and all that. That's all outsourced to other cloud servers. So, at any rate, that we rent space on. So, at any rate, if you want to do that, please do. Okay, now on to eBay. It was sort of a good week, and there's some good things coming up this coming week. And I want to just tell you, if you're short on time, stick around to the end, because there's some pretty good things coming up. And if you're new to the newsletter page, you can sign up right here for it. And every Friday when we send out, when we update the newsletter page and get the video on, you'll get an email notice as soon as it's all completed. All right, and all the things, of course, on the newsletter page are things that we've actually looked at, so you don't have to worry much about them being authentic or whatever. We've already looked at them. Somebody asked me that the other day. Do we just pull things off of eBay and throw them on here, or what do we do? Every single piece on here, we pretty much look at very carefully to make sure that it's not a fake or being misdated and things. We try to keep it pretty clean. And this is we're heading into our 500th. We're only 10 weeks away from our 500th volume on the newsletter page. And it's been growing ever since we started it. So I guess it's working out pretty well. All right, now over to last week's auction results. Here we go. This was a very nice Kangxi period Rulu vase that had been gilded, had gilt decoration. There's still quite a bit of gilt was left on it. It looked absolutely fine to me. I thought it was a nice piece of porcelain. The bottom of it looked good. That foot rim looked very, very good. The decoration, the way the glaze appeared, this sort of uneven colors that they got by glazing it with straws and blowing the cobalt onto the bodies to give this effect. And then, of course, they would gilt it after it was fired. It did pretty well. It brought $4,570. It was a nice thing. This came from Rufays over in the UK. He's a good seller. He gets good things. So we always check out what he's got posted. The next thing is this calligraphy book. And many of you remember this. It sold a couple of weeks ago. This poor seller, Bleeding Gums is the name of the seller. And he's sold a lot of stuff on eBay over the years. He's got 58,000 feedbacks. And somebody had bought this and they had run it up to about over $5,000. And unfortunately, he had to relist it because the buyer didn't pay for this. And I suspect it's the same buyer that didn't pay for something else he had. And this time around, about just $3,500, which is a tragedy because I think it was worth the $5,000, but this is what can happen if you need to relist something once it hasn't paid for, because it develops a stigma for some reason in people's minds that, oh, there must be something wrong with it. Oh, it didn't get paid for. Oh, and you get a few people that have doubts, and that's it. If you're one of those people that thinks that you're being played, what happens is that sellers often in mainland China will run things up to crazy amounts, or just run them up and become the successful bidder against there's somebody obviously bidding against them, and then they bail out of it and they don't pay for it. And what happens is it gives the impression that, oh, the buyer didn't pay for it because there's something wrong with the piece. No, it's a tactic to make him relist it. All right. So if you liked it at 5,000 and it comes back, have a little spine and give them what for and push it, buy it again. I know everybody likes to get a great deal, but don't let relistings scare you off of pieces that you liked previously. It's a tactic. It's a psychological tactic, and it's been going on for years on eBay, and it's too bad. And unfortunately, eBay doesn't boot people permanently who don't pay very often. You have to have so many offenses that it's ridiculous. But at any rate, this was a wonderful book, and I think somebody got an absolutely great buy on it. The next thing up is this very nice Tibetan butter lamp. These are very nice. This was a reticulated one. Very good looking, 19th century, in beautiful condition. Interior of the base had lots of authentic looking, legitimate looking wear. Here it is. These are nice ritual pieces. And this one was very good. And the guy selling it, he emailed me to let me, that's Epcot. He let me know that he was putting it up, and would I take a look at it? And I said, sure. And I went and I said, gee, that's a nice butter lamp. So we decided to include it. Ended up selling for $910, which is right about what they typically bring. For 19th century examples, they usually sell for anywhere from $750, $800, all the way up to about $1,100 or $1,200 on average. So it did fine, and it's a very, very nice piece. And then he also had this. This was another piece, and I think this was a pretty good buy. I think Japanese stuff, as you know, isn't all that popular anymore for some weird reason. And he had this really nice piece. This is a rare thing. It's a piece of sculptural Hirado ware from Japan. And Hirado was, of course, the porcelain maker to the imperial family initially. That's how they got started. And they did some of the finest porcelain ever made in Asia. Hirado ware today is one of the most undervalued ceramics on the planet. The stuff is absolutely superb. And this figure, when you glance at it, it looks like it's only a couple inches tall. It was pretty good size. It was 8 inches tall. It wasn't just a couple inches tall. Most porcelain figures tend to be pretty small. This one was big. This one was 8 inches in height. Very nice piece of Hirado. Beautiful underglazed blue. Love the dragon. And this is the kind of stuff they did. But they didn't do figures very often. The most common thing I think they did in figural form were dogs. All right, but this one is the dragon and Raken. It's they call them okimonos in Japan, and it went for just $261. I think that was somebody got a great buy on that, a really great buy. If it had sold for $800 or $900, I would have been the least bit surprised. But again, the Japanese market in many areas has been soft since the 90s, and things like this get no respect. But this was a nice Meiji period example. All right, and then over to this Kangxi period beaker. Nice little beaker, nice little cup. Very typical decoration, panel decoration around the side, a little brown dressing around the top, but a sweet little cup. My only complaint about it is the camera was a little too close, so it distorted the shape somewhat. Always keep in mind when you're photographing objects that most cameras have a curved lens, and the closer you get, once you get to a certain point, it can distort the view. You're better off backing off from the object and using the zoom lens to move in on it, and it'll eliminate the distortion, and you'll get the same picture. But there's the bottom of it. It was a good-looking little cup, nice little cup in good condition. Did well. It brought $387, but it was genuine and nice condition, and had a very, very clean appearance to it. So good. And then over to the Sung the Yuan Dynasty dish. There was another one of these, a similar one that sold a few weeks ago on here, and you may recall that the bottom of the other one had some residue and cement and whatnot from the kiln stuck to the foot. This one was clean. And as I mentioned, the other one probably would have brought more had it not had all that residue. The pattern and the glaze in this one is pretty similar to the one that had sold a few weeks ago, a bit different. And this one did even better. This brought $3,189. It brought about $700 more. I think it was a little cleaner and didn't have the debris on the bottom, but it still had a very, very nice glaze. And this was Bamboon that sold this over in the UK, another British seller we pay attention to. Very nice piece of Junyao ware. I liked it a lot. I thought the color was nice, nice glaze, nice rim, beautifully potted. Nice. Where's the profile of it? There it is. Nice potting job on that. Very finely potted. Glaze just crept up to the, about just a quarter of an inch or so from the edge of the foot. The foot was neatly trimmed and nicely finished. Probably a yawn example. They often say sung to yawn, but most of them are yawn, it seems. All right, and then the transitional period vase. There are a lot of copies of these floating around, of course, and we all know them. We've seen them, and this was also Bamboon got this one. This was a real one, and we put it in the newsletter. And I got an email from somebody, inquiry from somebody on the preview assistant form this week, asking me about it, and I guess he missed it on the newsletter page. And I said, gee, I said it was on the newsletter page. We looked at it. It was a nice looking vase. There's the foot rim to it, very nicely done. This edge of the glaze here looks very, very good. The decoration, the energy of the birds flying around it, the perch bird, all the decorations, all of this, the moon, all in the brown dressing at the top, all of it very consistent with authentic examples. And it did very well. It brought more than we thought. I didn't think it would bring quite this much, but there's a lot of enthusiasm out there for transitional wares right now because of the popularity of the Butler collection and other things that have happened that have changed this market entirely changed in the last 10 or 15 years. It's just completely flipped. And this did very well. It brought $4,011. And it wasn't a terribly big vase. I think it was about 10 inches tall. 21 centimeters, 8.5, 9 inches tall. It was pretty small. All right, and then over to this. This was that lot of nifty bronzes. Somebody got a bargain, and this is another one of these cases of relisting. This had sold a few weeks ago for over $1,300 or $1,400. Did very well. I didn't think it was a bad price. There were some nice pieces. There were 6 pieces in this lot, all very nice little miniatures, beautifully done, nice patinas. And this time around, somebody got, I hope one of you got it. I mean, I'm sorry for Bamboon that he took a hit on it, but somebody paid only $644 for all of these. All right. Personally, if I was selling these, I would have sold them one by one. Because lots can turn into bargains because people don't do the math and calculate in their head what the entire lot is worth. And often they'll look at one object that they like in particular and they say, well, that's what I'd be willing to pay to get that one piece. And they don't take into account correctly the sum value of all the pieces. If you were to take all the pieces and split them up, now how much are they worth each? And certainly each one of these is worth more than $100 a piece. $200 or $300 a piece is perfectly reasonable. At any rate, somebody picked it up for $644, which was, I think, maybe qualifies as the bargain of the month. All right, and then this little water pot. We talked about this last week. Just because I thought it was nice. Most of these that you see, the vast majority of them are monochromes. They're either done in Lang Yao red or sort of peach blooms, or maybe done in celadon, but in a monochrome or crackle ware. This one is probably I think he's right on this Guangzhou period. This was some Stubbsy Wubsy over in the UK. A nice little Famille Rose example. Well decorated, but atypically decorated. Not something you commonly see. Marked on the bottom. And looked perfectly good. It did have a little hairline here off the shoulder, but the form and decoration in this combination is pretty unusual. It's a later Qing example, but I think it had merit. And scholars' tables objects, of course, are always of interest in the market because you have people who are general collectors that enjoy them, and then you have people who are specialist collectors who are only interested in scholars' objects. And there are some, over the years, we've seen some really amazing collections that have been put together by people who are just interested in scholars' objects with all the different types of brush pots and water pots inkstones and all the accoutrements that go to the scholar's table. And this was a really sort of an interesting example and nicely done. I love the lady holding the fish. She's coming home with it, it looks like. And $700 was the price on that. Okay. And a lot of the things hadn't sold yet as of today because they were 10-day listings and we come out on Friday, so 10 days haven't gone by yet. But those are some of the high points of things that sold. But I want to get into a few things that are coming up this week on the newsletter page that I think are pretty good. We sort of put them all over here. One of them is this. If you're a Sung Celadon buyer, you got to check this out. This looks absolutely fine to me. Carved Sung Celadon, very nice color. It's a little dark, but not bad at all. Foot looks good, little kiln grit on there. That's the back of it. It's got some glaze, cracks in the glaze. Those don't go through the body. Those are just on the surface of the glaze, just some surface tension. Tiny bit of a little post, kiln grit inclusions on it. It measures 8 inches in diameter. This is a pretty good looking bowl. And it's beautifully carved. Pay close attention to the carving quality inside this bowl. It's a really nice deep olive. It's almost an olive color green, but very finely carved. Very finely carved. And right now it closes on Sunday, and right now it's at a bargain basement price of just $265. It should bring $2,500 to $3,500. If you get it for less than that, I think you got a good piece of sungware, very, very reasonably. And if you want, go check the Christie's and Sotheby's results for Sung Celadon bowls of this quality and see what they bring. The other thing that he has up also, this is the same seller, and I don't know this seller. I think he just got them from a collection or something. I don't think he specializes in Asian art. He's based in Concord, California. Is this Zizhou period bowl. Lotus bowl, very nicely done. Looks fine. There's the bottom of it. That's what it should look like. A nice glaze, a few drips around here on the edges, always a good sign to see. And a wave, sort of a curtain, because the way they dipped these, they created lines, curtains of glaze as they were piled on in layers. And here you can see it here. So it was dipped a couple of times, but very nicely carved. Unglazed, it looks like the rim maybe was left unglazed, which was pretty typical with these. From what I can tell, are partially glazed, which happened a lot. And this is a very, very nice piece of Zizhou ware. And it is up to $313. It also closes Sunday. But if you're a Sung buyer, I know a bunch of you are, you want to go look at these. I think they're very nice, and they both appear to be in good condition. I don't know the story. Did he put anything here about where they came from? Nope. He did not. Okay. Good looking bowl. This should bring also up in the $3,000 range by the time it's all over or more. Beautifully done. Nice piece of porcelain. That'll be in the newsletter as well. And then this, when I first saw this, I thought it was a bronze. It has that, because in the Ming Dynasty, they did bronzes like this. This is wooden. And I think it's pretty terrific. Everybody knows that, I'm a fan of carving. And this is a good old one. This is a really old wooden carving. Probably Ming from what I'm seeing, because it's certainly carved in the Ming, in the way they did the Ming figures in bronze. This is what they did. They did quite a few that have this look to them, this style, and very, very attractive. It's up to $102. It closes Sunday. How tall is this thing? Let's see if we can find the dimensions. 7 inches tall. There you go, 7.5 inches tall. So it's decent size. Ought to bring 400 or 500 anyway, but it's a nice thing. It's got a great surface, but it's almost trompe l'oeil, because when you first see it, you think, oh, look at that, it's a bronze. And then I read the heading and I went, wow, it's wood. Nicely done. All right, and then over to this. If you've always wanted to own a nice-looking Kangxi style Rulu vase with underglazed red dragons, you remember the underglazed red dragon in the Butler collection, the double dragons that sold for $800,000. This isn't the same thing, but it had a red dragon on it also. This is not a Kangxi example, but it is a late Qing to Republic period example, from what I can see, based on the foot, the glaze. This shot in particular, this looks like late Qing work. It's a little bit, you can see some orange peel here on the surface and the way it's done, and the shape is slightly different than the originals, but if you're not in the position to spend $40,000 to $60,000 for, this is market period. If this were market period Kangxi vase in this style with an underglazed red dragon, it would be well into six figures. But if you're not in a position to spend 600,000 or 100,000 or $200,000 on a Kangxi vase, but you love the look, always pay for the art. That's what you're buying when you buy antiques. You pay for the quality of the art. I think this is beautifully done. Very animated dragon on here. It's a late, I'm going to date it as being probably late Qing or early Republic. It's up to just $261. It closes in 5 days. It should bring 1,000 to 1,500, but it's a nice looking thing, and it's good size. Was it 16 inches? 46 centimeters tall. So yeah, it's about 16 inches tall, 17 inches. So it's good size. Make a heck of a table lamp. No, you don't have to drill it. Now, on this week also, for those of you who like snuff bottles and you like Realgar glass, there are two of them. There's this one and this one. And this one, according to the seller, came from a very good collection, and we're going to get into it. And I don't think it's a story. I think this is legitimate. But you have this one also. This is Asian Art Bay over in France. Nice looking Realgar snuff bottle. Looks like a 19th century one. Pretty good color on it. And Realgar is I don't know how much of you know about Realgar, but Realgar is a red stone. And it's one of the primary elements that has arsenic in it. And it was used historically in going back to the Dark Ages as a way to kill people, as a poison. And it was highly toxic. But the color was very highly revered. And there have been mysteries and stories about Realgar and glass for hundreds of years, and they've done studies and analysis of Realgar bottles that were produced at the imperial workshops in Beijing, where they made snuff bottles and other types of glass. They had a glass studio at the Imperial Palace, as many of you know, and they've done some mineral tests on them, and they find that some of these pieces actually have Realgar in them. Because they experimented with it, even though it was very dangerous to work with. I mean, crazy dangerous. But for some reason, once it's been used and heated and used in glass in this way, I guess the toxicity level goes down or something. I don't know. But then they found ways to simulate the color without using that mineral. And most of the pieces you see around don't have Realgar in it, so don't be afraid of them. All right. Only the one study they did, I think they examined 20 or 30 bottles that were in one collection that were supposed to be all Imperial Realgar. And only, I think, 2 of them actually had any traces of the dangerous arsenic-based stone in it. But it produces this. They were able to simulate this wonderful color, and it became very, very, very popular. This is a nice one. It should bring $500 to $700, but a good-looking bottle. But the next one I think is better. Okay, that's just my opinion. And this had belonged to. Let's see here. Block collection. I think I saw the name of. Let's see. Attributed Realgar and Hugar's material representing Maping. Hold on a minute. I'm going to get back up to it here. I remember seeing something here from the Ellen Goldschmidt collection. And then it went down from there, and it was bought from Spinks. And these are all names that people know. And nice looking sort of Maping form. Beautiful little bottle. There's the top of it. And you can see the layers. It's spectacularly well potted. It looks very authentic to me. It's got a nick out of the foot. That's the only thing that it has. But if you've wanted to own a very attractive piece of Realgar, and even in the inside here, you can see one of the things they did was they would dip the glass, and they built up layers of glass. And every time they dip it, another layer. It's like rings on a tree. So you can see all the layers in here. And this is many, 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 many layers from many, many, many dips. And there's the bottom of it. That's not a very good shot of it, I'm afraid, because this light got it. But there's the top of it. Good piece of Realgar. And what'll it bring? It's only up to $2. I don't know how that is. This looks like an $800 to $1,200 piece of Realgar to me. Very, very well done. Very strongly crafted. Probably early 19th century, I would suspect. I don't know what they're dating it as, or if he's even bothered. Okay, first he says, 1800 to 1849. It's first half of the 19th century. That's correct. Nice bottle. Don't be afraid of buying it, and it's not going to poison you. Okay. And then over to this. A few weeks ago, we had that very nice Ming-style Chuan. You may remember it, the handled vase that did very well. And I don't think this is the same seller, but same type of thing. And I think this is absolutely wonderful. This is a piece of chinoisware of an immortal, but look at the details. I want to get the face. Look at that. Um, Fantastic quality. That's all I can say. Absolutely fantastic quality. Very rustic in the glaze and so forth, but absolutely beautiful. Here's the bottom of it, and that's exactly what an old one looks like. This is either it may be an 18th century example, but beautiful quality work. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The face. Always look at the face, the quality, the details around the eyes, the eyebrows, and the whiskers all trimmed in beautifully and all that. And then there's this very handsome brown and sort of blue fused glaze onto it. It's 10 inches tall. It's good size, and it's only up to $87, and it closes later today. I hope one of you gets this video in time. I'm going to get this up as quick as I can because of this one lot. It should sell for $600 and $800. It's a beautiful piece of chinoisware. Really, really lovely. All right, and then over here, if you're a Chinese export collector and you've been wanting one of these, this is a nice salt, a nice late 18th century blue and white Chinese export salt for the English and French market and the European markets. A nice one. Should get up to $100, $125, $150. And then this, the terrine, nice looking rose medallion terrine, mid 19th century, well gilded, nice big finial on top, mushroom finial. Very nicely done. It's up to $129. It closes on Sunday. Should get up to $400 or $500, $600, somewhere around there. And then this is something really interesting. If you're a metal collector and you like metal work, this is a 19th century stamped and relief worked and carved piece of pewter cup stand with twin handles, and it's based clearly on a Ming style. This is when but they were done in porcelain and bronzes, and this one has landscapes all around it. It's a nice looking piece of pewter. There's the bottom of it. It's got a signature on it. I don't know if he showed a good picture of the signature. I don't think he did. So I don't know who it is. There isn't much information on most of the pewter makers, but this looks like probably an early 19th century piece of pewter. I think it's absolutely great. It's got a few bends in it, and you could probably get them straightened out if it bothers you much. Just have somebody that knows what they're doing warm it up a little and just sort of pull this bend out. It probably got dropped, but with twin dragon or serpent handles on it in the cup, and then it's got this under tray, and it all fits together. This is a nice package if you really enjoy Chinese cultural art, not the high flying stuff. This is just the interesting stuff, is what I call it. I love stuff like this. It doesn't have to be worth a lot of money to be wonderful. And this is a pretty wonderful little object. It's something you wouldn't get tired of. It's only up to $49. It closes Sunday. If you like it enough, hit it for $300 or $400. I think it's a pretty great little thing. And then over here to this cup. This has been in the newsletter now. I think it closes in 2 days. It closes Sunday. I put it in last week because it's a very unusual cup. It's a square slab constructed cup, second half of the 19th century. Very unusual form. And if you've been collecting for any length of time, when was the last time you saw a mug or a cup in this form from this period, in this style? They're very unusual. I have seen them before, but not often. Every few years you come across one of these someplace, usually in an oddball shop. This one looks a little bigger than some of the other ones I've seen. I've seen a few that were like about the size of shot cups. This one's a little bigger, but I think it's a nice little piece of famille rose, but a very unusual form. And it's only up to $42. I think it's probably worth $150 to $225. But it's an interesting thing. It's sort of a curiosity to own. Like this is. This sort of falls into the same category. They're just unusual and not horrifically expensive, so they're sort of within the range of any buyer's budget. Who wants to own interesting Chinese things, but you can't go around dropping tens and twenties of thousands of dollars everywhere. This is a nice thing, absolutely great. And then there's this Chinese export guglet made around 1780, done with that very familiar rose mandarin palette that we saw often on export wares back then, punch bowls and tureens and plates and platters and whatnot. Very nicely potted, really clean work under here. This was very, very well done, which you do come to expect with these export pieces because they put a lot of care into them because they were getting paid top money to do them. But this looks like a good, clean bottle. I don't see any damage to it. It hasn't been cut down in height. All of the enamels show no wear. And right now it's up to $292. It ought to get up to the $600-800 range by the time it's done. But it's a good example. So if you've been looking for one like this, this might be the thing for you. All right. And this is Stubbsy Wubsy. It'll be on the newsletter page. And then the last thing is this robe. The seller says it's late Qing. My feeling is it's either late Qing or Republic. But the color of this red. Some of the colors in here look a little bit out of the period to me. It's a summer robe, nice looking. It's let's see how much time is left on this. 7 hours. I think it'll probably go up another $400 or so, $500, $2,400. But it's legit. It's not a modern copy. It's just not the oldest of the examples we see, but is worthwhile, and it's not going to bring $8,000 or $10,000, or it shouldn't. All right. So that's it for the week. All right. And do remember the Grogan sale. I'm very enthusiastic about it, and it's not because I know Michael, and I do know him, and I've known him for a lot, but I know a lot of auctioneers, and they have auctions I don't recommend. And but this is something he was able to get. He got it because I'm sure the Gagosian brothers liked Michael, and I know they shopped with him, and when you pass on, you want somebody that you know and trust to handle your things, and that's why they picked Michael, I'm sure, because there's dozens of auction houses in the Boston area, including Skinner's, that would have killed to get this auction, and they gave it to Michael because they liked him. Okay, and I trust him on that. All right, so good luck out there. Check out that sale over the weekend. Check out the newsletter page. If you haven't subscribed here yet on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button. And thanks so much. And consider the Patreon thing. I don't expect everybody to sign up for it, but if you can and you like what we do, it helps us pay for things around here. All right, have a wonderful week and a great weekend. And thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Bye-bye.